So it's the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship up next, and looking forward to this one tremendously. For those of you trying to watch online, we're now on a new stream, so if you head to the Alpha Live channel, it's all linked from there, but a new stream now for the coverage on YouTube. But head to Alpha Live, and do make sure you subscribe to Alpha Live as well, so you're informed about all of the many events that they stream, be it car racing or karts. Then you'll find the stream for the remainder of today's racing. We've got 2 more races to come before our lunch break. Next up it is the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship, and it is going to be round number 7 of 14, so we're at the sort of halfway point of the season here. 6 rounds down. Let's just give everyone a quick run through how the point standings look at the moment, and it's Lee Scott that is leading the way. He is on 134 points from the 6 events that we've had so far this season at Brands Hatch, Mallory and Cadwell, 3 double headers. Matt Rosier is second on 118 points. In third on 94 points it's Andrew Thorpe. Fourth with 89 points Ted Cooper. So you've got Ford Fiesta, Peugeot 205, Citroen AX and Vauxhall Nova, the first 4 positions in the championship standings. Fifth on 85 is Stuart Place, and sixth is Jason Wood with 76 points. So another 205 and another Nova. I'm just going to count down. Hold on, well, I'll do this. 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th in the championship. That's where we find our pole position man for today's race, which is James Hazelhurst in the Peugeot 205 GTI. So a remarkable qualifying performance from him. He has had no top 6 finishes and just 1 top 10 finish so far this season. That best of 7th at Mallory Park. So a great effort for James to put the car on pole position here at Silverstone for round 7 of the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship. We were hearing about this championship earlier from Josh, talking to Paul Thorpe, who is the driver's representative, and really he's the sort of liaison point between the competitors and the 750 Motor Club, but he's done some racing in this championship himself in the past, and he was saying sort of what the appeal of it is really. It's a very affordable way to go tin-top racing, and what I like about it as a championship, and it's something that's probably missing from a lot of modern motorsport, is the variety of different types of car that you get onto the grid. And I guess for someone of my particular vintage, it is the kind of cars that you'd have seen on the roads in my youth in the late 80s, early 90s. So the likes of the Fiesta in both XR2, carburetted, and XR2i injected guys, Peugeot 205 GTIs, Vauxhall Nova GSIs and GTEs as well. So
a bit different from the Ford Anglias and Populars and some old junk I used to see when I was a kid.
I wasn't going to say that, Marcus, but
we're talking late 50s, early 60s here.
Yeah, okay, there's a decade or two between us, and but no, it is nice, isn't it, Marcus, to see a variety of different types and shapes of car on the grid with different strengths at different circuits that
it
they
is,
go to.
And I think that fact you pointed out, the top 4 all different cars in the championship table so far. It's just so encouraging. It's great to see that open competition. The cars look different, they sound different, and you've got the Ford, you've got the Peugeot and the Citroen, sort of kind of cousins from France, and you've got the Vauxhall as well. So you've got a really good cross section and very representative. And they're not the only marks that we've seen in this championship over the years. I mean, the strengths have kind of waxed and waned, haven't they, of each of the individual models, but you know, it's still very much open competition between the top few.
Yeah, Suzuki Swifts I think we've had on the grid as well in the past. I think Metros as well.
Very occasionally, yeah,
as well. But so a bit of a mix that we've had out there in the past. Just down in front of us in our comment box, we can see the sweeper is heading back towards us. I think that's been dealing with an oil spill somewhere out on the circuit, some cement dust having to be put down to make sure that is not too slippery for the Classic Stock Hatch cars as they head out onto the grid. Lee Scott, then, the championship leader in this particular category, and he is a driver that's had tremendous success in classic stock hatch down the years. He's won it in 2018, 2017, 2014, 2013, and when it was Class B in the main stock hatch championship, he won it in 2010 as well. Also enjoying multiple success in this championship, Matt Rosier, who's also on the grid, second in the championship this year at the moment. He won it in 2016 and 2015 in his Peugeot 205. Pip Hammond won it. He also won it as Class B in 2008 as well, so he's again been doing it for a long time. Pip Hammond won it twice as Class B in the main stock hatch in 2009 and 2011. Then the car that he'd won it with won the championship when it was the first year of classic stock hatch in 2012. Damien Cottrell took the wheel of the car for that season. So Fiestas, 205s, Novas, they've all won the classic stock hatch championship in whatever guise it has been in. Certainly here at Silverstone on this particular international layout, it's Matt Rosier who's had the most recent success here. He won twice here last year, but Lee Scott, Martin Kayser have all had success. Well, Lee Scott winning 3 times. But the car's now coming out onto the circuit for the first of 2 races today for the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship. So heading out onto the circuit, and it's going to be, as we say, James Hazelhurst that's going to line up on pole position in his Peugeot 205 GTI. He was 0.2 of a second quicker than number 6 Andy Philpotts in his Ford Fiesta XR2i in qualifying this morning. So as I say, Hazelhurst 12th, Philpotts I think 7th in the championship coming into this weekend. So it's a day for the underdogs. Of course, this is a championship where success ballast plays a feature as well, and Lee Scott and Matt Rosier, the 2 championship leaders, will carry most of that. And they line up 3rd and 4th, so alongside each other on the 2nd row of the grid. Ted Cooper, number 4, will be on the inside of row 3 in the Vauxhall Nova GSI, alongside Matthew Stubbington in his Peugeot 205 GTI. And all of these first 6 cars, all within 0.6 of a second of the pole position time, showing you how competitive this category is. Marcus Ward will line up 7th. He's been a front runner here and has taken wins. In fact, he was one of the 3 contenders for the championship going into the final meeting last season. He lines up 7th alongside Stuart Place, who's had a pretty good season so far, was leading at Mallory Park. Andrew Thorpe 9th and Martin Rogers 10th on the grid in Citroën AX and Peugeot 205 respectively. Martin Rogers went pretty well at Cadwell last time out. The Wards, Ben and Scott, the brothers, line up 11th and 12th on the grid. Jason Wood, a bit further back than he'd have liked to have been, 13th on the grid in the number 41 Nova. Ahead of Martin Kayser, who's won here in the past in his Ford Fiesta XR2i. Paul Brock and Richard Kelsall, 26 and 89, will line up on row 8 of the grid, ahead of Derek Rosier. Matt's dad in his Peugeot 205 GTI on row 9. He's got Darren Bassingthwaite for company. Pete Osgerby, 58, and Alan Dooley, number 62, line up on row 10 in Nova and Fiesta XR2i respectively. Then it's the 2 XR2s, rather than the XR2is, so these carburetted cars. David Darlington, 66, and Ian Gribbin, number 21, round out the field. So it's going to be a 13-minute plus 1 lap race for this first of 2 Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship cars. There you see on pole position the number 12 car of James Hazelhurst, and he'll have been very pleased with that qualifying effort this morning. Alongside him is the number 6 car Andy Philpotts.
While I'm sure his confidence is buoyed, I should imagine he'll be very nervous about this getaway, because it's unfamiliar territory, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I mean, normally he'll have been starting probably in the middle to lower portion of the grid this season, so certainly a vertigo-inducing grid position, one would think. Right, we've got the last cars into position, so that means we should get the green flag waved at the back, which we do now. And we're all set then. Drivers wisely shutting their doors before the race gets underway. 13 minutes plus 1 lap ahead of us. And the lights go out, and away we go then. And it's a pretty even start between the 2 front row men on pole position on the outside here at Silverstone on the international circuit. So as they turn into the first corner. Is Hazelhurst going to be able to sweep ahead? No, he's not quite. It looks like Andy Philpotts in the number 6 car has got it, but he does hold on to second place, so that's a reasonably good start from the front row. Lee Scott there in, well, third place. Hazelhurst locking up in the middle. Matt Rosie trying to go round the outside. Ted Cooper trying to go even further round the outside in his Nova as well. There's the two, or one of the two, Ward brothers, Ben Ward in the number 34 car, as they make their way around the first few corners. It's pretty frenetic stuff in this Stephen Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch race. It looks like it's Lee Scott that's made it up to second place, but James Hazelhurst with the black stripes down his white 205 coming out of the slipstream here, trying to get the inside line down towards Stowe Corner. It's Philpotts leading. Is he still going to lead into Stowe? It's absolutely side by side between the pair of them. We see number 67 Matt Stubbington and number 39 Martin Rogers go through shot. It's the white car, isn't it, that's out front?
Hazelhurst got back, hasn't he? That was very, very bold down the inside. It was a very good route to take, as it proved, because he got dive bombed a little coming onto the straight. Certainly into Village, he was in the midst of cars everywhere, but he kept his cool, and that was the important thing. So he got the lead back from Philpotts in the red car. In third place is Lee Scott, multiple champion. Matt Rosier also in there as well, but it's James Hazelhurst hanging on at the front, the lead of nearly 6/10 of a second.
Yeah, so on to lap 2 then, so it's 205 leading, XR2i second. Just looking at Ted Cooper, came through in 6th position, so having made a pretty good start, back down to 6th, having started P5 actually. You can see Stuart Place, the number 87, 205 making ground. He's in 9th position. Oh, and one go. Oh, is that Hazelhurst that's gone wide? It looks like it might be. Yes, wide at the link. So it looks like he's made a mistake there and possibly lost several places as a result. Yeah, and I think he might have problems actually, because you can see in the background there he's being overtaken by several cars. It looks like, I'm afraid to say, that Hazelhurst's car may have broken, which means that now it's Andy Philpotts in the lead, who is second there. It looks like it's Marcus Ward actually in the number 55 car now. He's a quick driver and he'll be carrying no weight because it's the first time that we've seen him out this season, whereas Matt Rosier and Lee Scott will both have success ballast aboard their cars, but it's not deterring Matt Rosier from trying to go around the outside of Marcus Ward at the Vale. Holds on to third place, but then runs wide and Lee Scott pounces. These two have been racing against each other for over a decade now in the Classic Stock Cats Championship. Philpotts leads over the line then by 0.8 of a second from, in second place, 55 Marcus Ward, third number 1 Lee Scott, fourth number 2 Matt Rosier, fifth number 4 Ted Cooper in the Nova, and sixth 87 Stuart Place. So he made 3 places on that lap in the Peugeot 205. There's Ward in second. Oh, and Place trying to make up another place there. He's got past Ted Cooper as they went through Village, but as they head towards the link, it looks like he's lost out again. Yes, he has, and he's in danger of being passed by the number 39 car of Martin Rogers as well. So as they head onto the hangar straight, it's Philpotts that leads.
So you've got 3 Wards in this race. I noticed that Matthew Stubbington, who has been up the front in recent years on and off, is just in the thick of that lead pack. And also Andrew Thorpe, who's well placed in the championship, so far third in the table.
There's one of the Wards, Scott, who had a second place at Pembrey as his best result. That was last year. Did we get that change of lead though? It looked like we might have done. They're still pretty much locked in combat. The 2 red XR2Is. It's the one with the black and green livery of Marcus Ward, freewheeling through the Vale there, that's got through. So number 55, Marcus Ward, who started 7th on the grid, don't forget. He's now up into the lead of the race, ahead of Andy Philpotts, who started on the front row, and ahead of Lee Scott and Matt Rosier, the 2 men that have won most of the Classic Stock Cats Championships between them down the years.
It's amazing, a third different leader at the end of the third lap. So that says something for the quality in there. Philpotts second, Scott third, Rosier fourth, Cooper and Place behind them. Marcus Ward, though, leads the way in the red Fiesta.
Rosier using all of the circuit, trying to find a bit more of it as well. Lee Scott locking up there as they went through Village that time. You've got Stuart Place and Ted Cooper side by side in the 205 and Nova respectively.
Cooper clambering over the curves, now 3-wheeling back on. Oh dear, 21 out of the race is Ian Gribben.
Yeah, into the gravel trap by the looks of it. Not quite sure how he got there. 8 or so minutes left to go in this 13-minute plus 1 lap race.
remember Mike Gribbin used to drive chevrons and gropers that were based on chevrons.
Oh, right.
In the 70s.
Now, side by side for second place, Lee Scott is going to sweep ahead of Andy Philpotts by the looks of it this time. Yep, he is. So, success ballast or not, Lee Scott up to second place, and he's now got a car between himself and his arch rival Matt Rosier. So, head down to the Vale, turning through there. Most of them cocking a wheel. They're up onto 3 wheels. There's Stubbington, has been a race winner in the past, as Marcus was saying, but not been racing quite as frequently over the last year or two. He's also been a relatively frequent roller of Peugeot 205s in the past as well.
I wasn't going to say that. He rolled one at Brands and then was back racing the next day, wasn't
he? He's made it through. He's got past Scott Ward there, and going with him is Martin Rogers, number 39. So he goes through into 8th place. Here's this 3-way fight. It's for 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. Lee Scott, Andy Philpotts, Matt Rosier. Matt Rosier number 2 in the Peugeot 205. Racing in this car in this championship for many years now. And he's not particularly tempted to move on and race anything else, I don't think. Perhaps if budget was a little bit stronger, he might do. But while you're on relatively limited financial resources, this is an excellent place to race. And
you get to know the cars, don't you? You get to know the cars inside out. You know what needs replacing, lifing of components, etc. The actual running costs down to the nearest halfpenny, probably.
Yeah.
Make their tyres last well.
So again, running on Yokohama tyres, co-sponsors of the championship, along with Demon Tweeks. Here they come into the Vale again. So it's Philpotts ahead of Rosier. Rosier there is under threat from Ted Cooper in the Nova. Ted Cooper's going to try and go all the way around the outside of Club Corner, but that's rarely works, and it doesn't on this occasion either. So Ted Cooper stays 5th in the number 4 Nova, but it's just in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:24.32. Best lap of the race in all is a 1:24.13 for the race leader Marcus Ward. There's 87th Stuart Place in 6th position, so he's involved in this as well. It looks like Cooper has now got ahead of Rosie, so he's done that down the start and finish straight. Rosie's going to try and come back at him into the village hairpin. Takes a much different line to Cooper through there. Place, I think it is, running over the curb a little bit.
Yeah, the 87 total car leapt over the curbs and bounced back off the back of that trio now. Cooper's back past Rosier.
Stuart placed 5th in the championship. Didn't have such a strong meeting at Cadwell Park as he would have hoped, otherwise he might have been 3rd.
The 4th, 5th and 6th guys in this line are trying to work together, I got the impression, to tow themselves onto the first group again, but they're now running across the track, fanning out.
Yeah, Rosier and Cooper side by side, and Cooper it is that holds on for the moment to 4th place. His brother Tony also races in the Castle Combe stock catcher, but this is for the lead down the inside. It's the number 1 Lee Scott, the reigning champion, multiple champion Lee Scott, gets ahead of Marcus Ward here in a similar car, a Fiesta XR2i. Certainly one of the cars to have in this championship down the years, and you just see that they are pulling away a little bit now from Andy Philpotts in 3rd place. So having said there's a great variety of cars that run at the front here, we've got 3 Fiesta XR2i's now in the first 3 places in the order: Lee Scott, Marcus Ward and Andy Philpotts, with the first non-XR2i being Matt Rosier's Peugeot 205 GTI, the ultimate hot hatch some would say of the down the years, in 4th place.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because Lee Scott is now the 4th different driver to lead this race. Marcus Ward's led 3 of the laps, but Hazelhurst, Philpotts, Ward and Scott, the 4 leaders. Hazelhurst, of course, out after a lap.
And really, top 3 have got away from the next 3 now, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, they have. Stubbington now the head of the 3rd little group, grey and orange Peugeot.
That's in the background with Scott Ward right behind it, but there is number 1 Lee Scott turning his way through Stoke. There's someone's bumper there by the looks of it on the road. Not quite sure who that belongs to or how it got there. There's Cooper, who has lost out to Stuart Place here, trying to get back ahead, and they've lost a bit of track position to Rosier as well. He's a few lengths up the road now, which wasn't the case at the start of this lap.
Stuart Place won't have much rear tyre wear because one of the wheels or the other is usually off the ground.
It's one way of economising, isn't it, and preserving your budget for the rest of the season.
Changes them round race to race.
Leaders into Abbey then, with just under 3 minutes of this race to go. Wing mirror to wing mirror between those two, between Cooper and Place. Cooper getting back up into 5th position there. Lee Scott leads, but you don't sense that it's a particularly secure advantage that he holds at the moment. Waiting for them to come down to the link. Here they are. They turn their way.
Oh, good exit from 2nd place, Marcus Ward. And he's already looking to come alongside, but then decides to tuck into the slipstream, get that extra toe down the straight. He times it well. Very evenly matched under braking in similar cars. But she's not quite close enough.
No, it was deceptive. I thought he was going to be able to launch an attack into Stowe Corner there, but it wasn't to be on that occasion for Marcus Ward.
They corner pretty flat, these cars. They've got the suspension well locked down.
Yeah, they do. Through goes Rosier there in 4th place. So things have changed around again, because Rosier's got back on terms with Philpotts now. There's 1.4 seconds behind him at the beginning of the lap, so that's something. And that's Derek Rosier, that's Matt's father, number 77, that's in the gravel trap as well, being recovered. There's 1.5 minutes to go. We've now got, well, 2 pairs, 1st, 2nd, and then 3rd and 4th, but then everyone else is in 5th place, it would seem, at the moment, heading their way through Abbey. There is Scott, he's got just over 3/10 in hand over Ward, but Rosier trying to get back into a podium position, and he's overcooked it this time at Village, and he's had a half spin there that he managed to wrestle control of, but he will have lost a bit of time. Something just like, yeah, he's lost probably about a second because of that big moment down at Village.
We've tried a different line there, and it just didn't come off that time. He came in just a little bit too hot.
Marcus Ward in the toe of Lee Scott once again. Now, can he do anything about it this time? He couldn't a lap or so ago. And again, it's the same story, isn't it? Just not quite close enough, really, to make that toe count.
He knows that we're getting close to the end, and it might just be a canny ploy to actually not make his move until the very last time down the hanger.
Yes, that's eminently possible, that he's keeping his powder dry, wanting to be in that position, possibly just checking he can sort of stay in the toe, and could be there with Lee Scott going into the final lap. Now here's Scott Ward, number 99, and he's rubbing door handles with the 87 car of Stuart Place, but Place it is that hangs on, and just to work out what position this for, because this has had a bit of a shake-up on this lap. We'll see what happens when they come through our time screen. There's Rosier and Philpotts. So Rosier having another go, and he's done it this time into Abbey. So Rosier, number 2, now ahead of Andy Philpotts, who started on the front row of the grid and up into a podium position, up into the top 3. So Rosier, can he hold on to it this time? A more orthodox line through the Village hairpin that time as well. Now it's secured 3rd position. So this is between Place and Ward, and it's for 7th and 8th place. So Stubbington's up to 6th, Place is 7th, Ward is in 8th place, and Martin Rogers 9th, Jason Wood 10th. Andrew Thorpe a bit further back than we often see him in the Citroen AX, probably a circuit that doesn't particularly suit this car. You can see that dark grey and green car just at the back of shot there, just behind the red and black Vauxhall of Jason Wood. Number 4 coming down towards us then is Ted Cooper. In 5th place, 6th is Stubbington, 7th place, 8th is Ward. Yellow flags there, I'm sure, because of the Derek Rosier car being recovered. That's possibly also why we've not seen Marcus Ward try and overtake there. Now we put all of those facts together. Here's Scott Ward chasing after Stuart Place as they will start. Oh, in fact, they get the checkered flag this time, so the checkered flag goes out.
Missing rear wheel on the Rosier, other Rosier.
That explains that. With the check flag going out, again, perhaps slightly early. Lee Scott it was then that took the win by 0.17 seconds from Matt Rosier, from Marcus Ward, I should say, in 2nd place. So Marcus Ward's positioning did nothing for him there. Matt Rosier 3rd in car number 2, in 4th place the number 6 car of Andy Philpotts, 5th to number 4 Ted Cooper, 6th to number 67 Matthew Stubbington, 7th to number 87 Stuart Place, and 8th to number 99 Scott Ward, Ninth was number 39, Martin Rogers. Jason Ward, number 41, completed the top 10. But it is Lee Scott that has taken his 4th victory of the season in round 10 of the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Cats Championship. Marcus Ward, probably, as it turns out, stymied by those yellow flags because of the recovery going on down at Stowe Corner, unable to convert his toe down the hanger straight into a move there, and that would probably have been the best opportunity for an overtake. The rest of the field coming through, so 11th was Andrew Thorpe, 12th Ben Ward, Paul Brock 13th, Richard Kelsall 14th, then Darren Bassingthwaite, Pete Osby and David Darlington and Alan Dooley, the 18 finishers. But it's Lee Scott then who will extend his championship lead with his 4th win of the season by just under 2/10 of a second from Marcus Ward. 3rd place went the way of number 2, which was Matt Rosier, Andy Philpott, Ted Cooper, Matthew Stubbington completing the top 6. Stuart Place, Scott Ward, Martin Rogers and the Vauxhall Nova of Jason Wood. He completed the top 10, having made up 3 places from his good position. Dropping back from their starting positions were Andrew Thorpe and Ben Ward, 11th and 12th respectively. Paul Brock and Richard Kelsall, 13th and 14th. Darren Bassingthwaite, 15th. Pete Osby, David Darlington and Alan Dooley, the only other finishers, because Derek Rosier, as we saw, came to a stop. So too did the number 21 car of Ian Gribben. And of course James Hazelhurst, who was our pole position man, also an early retirement from the Demon Tweeks Yokohama Classic Stock Cats Championship race. And we'll see those cars out again later on this afternoon for their 2nd race of the weekend. There's one more race to come before the lunch break. That is the Welsh Racing Drivers Association Welsh Sports and Saloon Car Championship. And then after about an hour's break we will have another 8 races for you during the course of this afternoon, starting with the K-Tech Racing Clio 182s. But as you can see, the cars now heading into the pit lane. They'll head into Parc Fermé, but first of all the top 3 will have a word with Josh Barrett.
Thanks, Ian. Yet down here are our top 3, Lee Scott, Marcus Ward and Matt Rosier, after yet another exciting Classic Stock Hatch race. And yet another victory for Lee Scott in his Fiesta XR2i that he's been campaigning for over a decade. And on about half of those seasons he's won the championship. He can get congratulations from the 2 other drivers. Lee, well done. It was a very, very tight race.
Yeah, there was less than an X-Cop between it. At the end of the day, it was incredibly close. I don't think I was the fastest guy out there today over a single lap, but it's not just about that. But yeah, good bit of luck today.
And I think the yellow flags up there at Stowe meant that Marcus couldn't challenge him. Probably the best spot to overtake.
Yeah, I was really lucky with Marcus. I got an overtaking just before the yellow flags down the back straight. I could see him ahead of me. Managed to get that pass done just in time. And then nearly on the last lap, I made an error going on to Stowe. And that protected me, from him coming back at me. So I got quite lucky.
It's so tight round here. After, I think, 5 laps, there were about 15 cars still separated by 10 seconds in one long line. The championship is as competitive as ever.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going strong. I'm very happy with it, yeah.
Well done and good luck for later.
Thank you.
In 2nd place, returning to the championship this weekend, Marcus Ward. Marcus, you started 7th. You were leading at one point, so that was a pretty good run for you.
Yeah, to be fair, it took me by surprise. I didn't realise the car was going to go quite so well, because in qualifying just had horrendous understeer, couldn't really work out why, so I made a few little tweaks to tyre pressures and what have you, and found myself in the lead. And if it wasn't for the tyres going off again, I think it would have been fine. It just right-hand corners I was just struggling with. But yeah, pretty chuffed, to be honest, to come back, and I literally haven't even stepped in the car since September, not moved it an inch. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty chuffed actually.
Like saying to Lee, those yellows up at Stowe, did that stop you sort of being able to attack there?
Yeah, it did a bit. I think obviously many yellows are out, you just have to back off obviously, but I think on the last lap I could have just lunged at the inside, because I had a great run. I think Lee missed a gear or something coming out onto the hanger straight, and then yeah, I had the run on him, but obviously you see the double wave yellows and you just have to sit back and wait. I think that was the only chance I would have had. Unfortunately yellows are out, but obviously safety first. So.
Good fun being back in the race car though?
Yeah, it is now. This morning I wasn't really keen. I was sort of tempted to just sort of pack it in again, but obviously now I'm quite happy. But I still got to start 7th later on today again, so we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck for that, well done. So that was 2nd place, Marcus Ward. 3rd was Matt Rosier. Matt, you had a pretty eventful race up there, big slide at one point.
A couple, yeah. I think it was incredibly hectic. There was cars left, right, front of me, behind me, overtaking me, behind me. I don't know what was going on.
A battle with Stewart in the middle there, sort of to be the best 205 as well.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Hasselhurst.
He slowed. I wonder if it's an engine issue, potentially, not sure.
Must have been mechanical then. Yeah, once I got a break from everybody, I started to catch up with the leaders again, but too late in the race to do anything. Just managed to take third last lap from the end.
He sort of had caught Andy up quite quickly as well, by the looks of things.
Yeah, like I say, when you can get a bit of clear track, a bit of space to move, a bit of space to make the car work, you can get some pace going. But it took me a little while to break free of Ed Cooper and Stuart Place. But once I did, like I say, I then got Andy. And I had the pace on the two leaders because they were battling, but ran out of laps.
The category, as I was saying to Lee, is competitive ever. You've both been racing it for a long time. You get all these other guys keep coming to try and beat you, but the two of you keep managing to be up on the podium quite a lot.
They've got to have something to aim for, haven't they?
Well done.
Thank you very much.
So third place, Matt Rosier. Second place was Marcus Ward. Our winner, though, Lee Scott. Now we have our guest formula, and that will be from the Welsh Racing Drivers Association, the Welsh Sports and Saloons. Up next with Ian and Marcus.